top 4 must-read books when it comes to personal finance and investing. That is what this video is going to be all about.
Yeah, boy.
Over the last few years, I've read dozens of books, and I continually come back to these 4 being the best 4 books that I think, particularly for beginners, to start to read if they want to get into investing, personal finance, and wealth building. In this video, it's going to be a fairly short one, but I'm going to be running through the 4 books. As you can see, I've got them all here, although that's the backs of them. I'll show you the front in a sec. And we're gonna run through each of them, and I'm gonna give you a quick sort of minute summary of why I think you should read the book and how it helped me. So let's get into it.
Relax and take notes.
Welcome back to another video on Making Money Simple. My name is Ryan, and weekly videos here on YouTube on investing and personal finance. And today we're gonna be looking at books. So I'm a big fan of books. I like just getting the physical copies and making notes, flicking over pages. I feel like I actually learn more from it and retain more information. I know you can probably get all of these for free online or get them on a Kindle, but personally, I'd much rather buy that book just fell. Personally, I'd much rather buy the books and then I can make notes, highlight stuff, and flick pages open. They're helpful, which I can then come back to. As you can see in this book here, Money Master the Game, I've got loads of different little tabs that are folded over, which I can revisit. I will leave all of the links for these 4 books in the description. If you do buy any of these books through my link, I'll get a small kickback, so I do really appreciate it. I'll also leave a link to my Amazon storefront, and I've also there got other book recommendations for property, crypto, and so on. So if you're interested in that, that maybe have helped you as well with some more further book recommendations, because at the end of the day, who doesn't love a book recommendation? The amount of books I've got sitting there on my shelf that I need to read, and the amount of books in my reading list that I need to buy and read is getting a bit ridiculous at this point. So without further ado, let's get into it. And the very first book, none other than Rich Dad Poor Dad. Now this book gets talked about a lot. Everyone mentions it left, right, and center. And the reason is because it is a brilliant book. The main downside of this book, which I will say straight away, is there's a lack of actionable or practical advice. Also, us being in the UK, there is a lot of reference to US schemes, US tax advantages, US property laws. But the way that I phrase it is that it essentially opens your eyes. When you read this, it will open your eyes to investing, passive income, assets versus liabilities, paying yourself first. It really is an eye-opener, and it's a very short read. It's only about 200 pages, 300 pages, but you can probably get through this in a weekend, if not a day, and the impact it will have on you is massive. I think as you read more and more books, it probably is less of a help. So if you've already read a ton of books, it might not be extremely helpful to you. But if you're just getting started with personal finance, investing, and mainly that mindset, having the right mindset to build wealth, how you're viewing money, Rich Dad Poor Dad is the best first book to read. Book number 2, I Will Teach You To Be Rich. This is an absolutely brilliant book. So this now offers some more practical advice. And what I love about this is it's essentially a personal finance blueprint. It goes through investing using index funds and asset allocation. It goes through saving for big things. It goes through cutting expenses, and you should focus on the big things like a mortgage and a car rather than those daily coffees or the odd pint. It really is a personal finance blueprint covering saving, investing, credit cards. And I think the power of reading Rich Dad Poor Dad and then this is that reading Rich Dad Poor Dad, you're gonna have that sort of open mindset to wanting to build wealth and wanting to generate passive income and invest into assets. And then this is gonna give you some more practical tips through saving, through investing, through using credit cards, through cutting your expenses. So it's a really good comprehensive blueprint on managing your personal finances. And the thing I really like about the author and the book particularly, as I mentioned already, is written almost from like a millennial point of view. A lot of older generations say, you know, you shouldn't waste money on buying coffees or eating avocado toast, but this book takes the view, if you can get the big things right, start investing early, don't buy a house that's too big for you, don't finance an expensive car. If you can get the big things right, then not only can you essentially get to financial independence, but you can also enjoy yourself along the way by budgeting for holidays, having that latte, having that avocado toast, you know the drill. Third book is Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins, and this book is an absolute beast. This is a weapon, this book. It's 700 pages. You can see I've got my bookmark in there. I must have been rereading a bit of that. I've read this at least twice, and I often revisit parts of this book. And as you can probably tell just by the page count, it is a very, very comprehensive book when it comes to managing your money and investing. One really cool thing about this book as well is that Tony Robbins interviews some legendary investors like Warren Buffett, Ray Dalio, and he essentially collates all of these interviews with loads of legendary investors and billionaires and puts them as a chapter in this book, so you can almost get a peek inside of some of these great minds' mind. But the main thing I like about this book is just the process that it goes through. So it starts with some sort of basic money stuff, looking at your mindset and how you view money. It then debunks a load of myths when it comes to investing. It then comes to working out the actual numbers that you need to achieve financial freedom, how you can generate income to essentially speed up your process. It then jumps into investing into index funds and how you can actually invest into the stock market. And then, as I mentioned, it ends on all of those interviews with those legendary investors like Ray Dalio, John Bogle, the absolute GOAT, Warren Buffett, Carl Icahn, David Swanson. There's a lot of really good information in this book. And this book essentially is a deep dive into investing into the stock market. And that is why I place it third. We built up that mindset from Rich Dad Poor Dad. We understand our personal finances from I Will Teach You To Be Rich. Now we're looking at becoming an investor and going from knowing nothing about investing to actually making our first investment. And this really, what this book will help you do, debunk loads of myths, get started with investing, and ultimately use index funds to invest for the long term. There's so much good data in here, so many good stats and facts. I cannot recommend this book enough. Last but not least, we have got the GOAT book from the GOAT author, The Little Book of Common Sense Investing, written by John Bogle or Jack Bogle. He was the founder of the index fund in 1975 and also the founder of Vanguard. He's done more for individual average investors than anyone in the history of the stock market. And this book is essentially, I would almost say, his life's work. Unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago, but it really just emphasizes the point of using index funds, ignoring the noise, buying and holding for the long term, investing consistently. Essentially everything that I preach on my Instagram and on my YouTube channel really is the thinking of John Bogle or Jack Bogle when it comes to investing for the long term using index funds. Now, I've read this book multiple times and continually revisit it. I'll often make Instagram graphics or posts to do with this book. There is an insane amount of data and stats in this book. The overwhelming conclusion is that it's impossible for individual investors like us and for active fund managers to consistently beat the market, which is why it's better to use index funds and invest using index funds over the long term. And I think the reason why this book is then a great fourth book to end on after reading the previous three is it's a bit more minute in the detail. Hopefully after reading I Will Teach You To Be Rich and Money Master the Game, you understand that investing for the long term and buying and holding and index funds are the best way to invest. And this then goes into the minute, granular detail, looking at data over decades of how index funds have actually outperformed active funds. And yeah, I cannot recommend this book enough. And hopefully, after reading these 4 books, you've essentially now got a comprehensive knowledge of investing, personal finance, and wealth building, and you've gone from zero to becoming a future millionaire, hopefully.
Hey, that's pretty good.
So these are the 4 books in short. As I mentioned, you can get them in the link in my description and I'll get a small kickback, which I really appreciate. Some other honourable mentions, which I have also read, I also really like, are also great for beginners, but I didn't include, would be The Richest Man in Babylon. That is a very short book, a very quick read, but it really compounds some key wealth building habits that you need to implement, such as paying yourself first. I think Rich Dad Poor Dad sort of covers quite a lot of the parables in that book, but The Richest Man in Babylon is another book if you're looking for a further one to read. And I'd also say Cashflow Quadrant, which is essentially almost like the sequel to Rich Dad Poor Dad, and it compounds the view once again of investing in assets, creating passive income streams, and you know the drill by now. So these are the top 4 books that I would say are must reads. The key thing I'm interested in here is if you disagree with any of these, or more importantly, have any more books to add to the list to help other people out, please leave them in the description. I'll be more than happy to add them to my ever-growing book recommendation list. But thank you for watching this video. As always, any questions, just let me know. Either reach out to me on Instagram or drop it in the comments. I've got loads and loads of resources. Some are free, some are paid through my description. I've got a free ebook, a paid for workshop, and loads of other stuff. So have a read through that if you get a few minutes. And other than that, enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you very much for watching.